Long ago, in the heart of a prosperous kingdom, there was a young princess named OLLAMA. Unlike her sisters, OLLAMA stood out not just for her beauty, but for her size. Her father, King Jackma, ruled the land with wisdom and strength. But even his mighty power couldn't shield OLLAMA from the whispers of the villagers. Some ridiculed her for her size, making cruel remarks that stung her heart more than any sword could. OLLAMA, despite her royal status, was deeply unhappy. Her weight had become the subject of endless gossip. Did you hear? They have to stitch together 3 wrappers just to go around her waist. The laughter behind her back echoed in her mind, and the mockery only seemed to grow worse as the years passed. Suitors came in droves for her younger sisters, but none for her. The kingdom's most eligible bachelors wanted nothing to do with the large princess, and her father's attempt at arranging a marriage for her fell flat. Secretly, OLLAMA had already resigned herself to a lonely life. She knew no one would ever marry her out of love. They would only do so for the crown or her father's wealth. Yet, her heart still ached for something real, something true. But as the villagers continued to jeer, OLLAMA found solace in an unexpected place: dance. Alone in her chambers, she danced. She would close her eyes and sway to the rhythm of a tune, and only she could hear, lost in her own world, where no one judged her. Dancing was her escape, her release from the harsh words and judgment. During the kingdom's many festivals, she would sneak away, hiding in the shadows to dance to the distant music, far from the eyes of those who mocked her. One evening, during the kingdom's grandest festival of the year, OLLAMA slipped away to her usual secluded spot near the forest. The distant beats of drums and the melodic sound of flutes echoed through the trees as OLLAMA began to move, her feet light as the breeze. She was lost in the joy of the dance when, out of nowhere, a new sound caught her attention. A drum beat growing louder and louder. Confused, OLLAMA stopped and turned, her heart racing. Who could be out here? To her surprise, a young man stood a few feet away, holding a small drum, a smile spreading across his face. "Don't stop," he said, tapping lightly on his drum. "I was enjoying watching you dance." OLLAMA's first instinct was to run. She had never let anyone see her like this before. Panic surged in her chest as she turned to flee, but the man's voice stopped her. "Wait, please. I didn't mean to frighten you." She glanced back, unsure whether to trust this stranger. He was not from her village. That much was clear. His clothes, his accent, and the way he carried himself suggested he was from a neighboring land. "Why are you here?" she asked, trying to mask her discomfort with a firm tone. "I got lost trying to find the market square," the man said. "But then I heard your dancing and I decided to accompany you with my drum." OLLAMA narrowed her eyes, trying to figure out if this was another cruel joke. "I don't need an audience," she replied curtly. The man chuckled softly. "I wasn't mocking you, princess. I am a musician. My name is Amobi." The way he said her title made her pause. There was no hint of mockery or amusement in his voice, only genuine warmth. Hesitantly, she introduced herself, her guard still up. But to her surprise, Amobi continued drumming softly, coaxing her into dancing again. For reasons she couldn't explain, OLLAMA felt compelled to move. Slowly at first, but as the rhythm deepened, so did her steps. This continued for days. Each evening, OLLAMA would return to their secret spot, and Amobi would be waiting, drum in hand, ready to play for her. They spoke in between the rhythms, getting to know each other more with each meeting. Slowly, a bond grew, and with it, OLLAMA began to feel something unusual, something she had never felt before. One night, as they danced beneath the moonlight, Amobi stopped playing. "OLLAMA," he said softly, his voice barely loud than a whisper. "I have fallen in love with you." OLLAMA froze. For so long, she had convinced herself that no one could ever love her for who she was. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, she didn't know what to say. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. "You can't mean that. You only see me at night, when no one is around. If you truly knew me, you would change your mind." But Amobi stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "I know you, OLLAMA. I see your heart, your spirit. You are more than what others say. I want to marry you." The words were like a dream to her, but reality soon came crashing back. Just as the couple began to plan their future together, disaster struck. A deadly plague swept through the kingdom, and all the villages were placed under strict quarantine. The borders were closed, and no one was allowed to leave or enter. OLLAMA's meetings with Amobi came to a sudden halt. Heartbroken, she retreated to her chambers, where the plague soon found her too. For months, she battled the illness, barely able to eat or sleep. But while the disease drained her strength, it also took something else: her weight. When OLLAMA finally recovered, she didn't recognize herself. Her once full frame had withered away, and in her place stood a slimmer, more defined version of herself. Her body was now a Coca-Cola body. At first, she didn't know what to make of it, but as she walked through the village, the reaction of the people around her made it clear. She was now the object of their admiration. Men who once sneered now gazed at her with interest. Bachelors, even noble men, lined up for her hand in marriage. Whenever OLLAMA walked through the market square, the men would look at her, wondering how come OLLAMA now has this fine Coca-Cola body. Her shape was one to behold. Indeed, she became the talk of the town. But with her new appearance came a change in her heart. The love she once cherished for Amobi faded in the face of this newfound attention. She began to think she could do better. And when the borders finally reopened, she decided to end things with him. The day they met again, OLLAMA could see the joy in Amobi's face, but she felt nothing. "I am no longer the woman you fell in love with," she told him coldly. "I deserve someone better, someone who fits my new status. Just look at me. Look at this body. Do you think that somebody like you deserves a body like this? This body belongs to rich people and not poor men like you." Amobi, shocked and heartbroken, watched as the woman he loved turned her back on him. Months passed, and OLLAMA's pride grew with each passing day. She said to herself, "I must marry a rich man, and not just any common man. This body of mine must only be enjoyed by someone of the same pedigree as I am, and not by a commoner like Amobi." She organized a grand event to choose a husband, inviting the wealthiest and strongest men from across the land. Princes from all over the nearby kingdoms prepared for the esteemed occasion. Prince Okoli, one of the handsome princes of Ijeke land, was deemed as the favorite to win the heart of the princess. He was rich, handsome, and had everything OLLAMA yearned for. And actually, OLLAMA had him in mind as her ideal man for this newfound Coca-Cola body. Yet, by the time the event arrived, OLLAMA had fallen back into her old habits. Her body returned to its former size. On the day of the celebration, when she stepped out to meet her suitors, they left one by one, rejecting her once more. Prince Okoli looked at her in the eyes and said, "Haha, do you think I want someone as fat as you? I came because I saw your new body and found it interesting. So I just wanted to have a taste of it. But since you have lost that, then I can't be with you." OLLAMA's heart was broken. Tears filled her eyes. But as she lifted up her eyes to look at the rest of the suitors, none was left except one, Amobi. Amobi now revealed himself to be a prince in disguise. He was Prince Amobi, the crown prince of Bidi Kingdom, the richest and powerful kingdom in the entire province. He stared into the eyes of OLLAMA and remained silent. OLLAMA was speechless, her eyes unable to look into his. OLLAMA finally gathered courage and approached him and said, "Amobi, you know I love you so much and I cannot live without you. Please forgive me and take me as your wife." OLLAMA said this after she realized who Amobi really was. She knew she had made a costly mistake and had not just lost a man, but someone who truly loved her. Dear viewer, do you think Amobi should forgive OLLAMA and accept her as a wife, or he should just let her go? Let me know your view in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.